Okay, so we got a lot of stuff to look at today. I got a couple of announcements and a couple of questions for you guys. First question is, would you like for me to close the poll now? Because it's been up for a little bit. I said 2 weeks. Okay, would you like me to leave the poll up until after my vacation or before my vacation? So one for after, no, one for before my vacation. So write one before my vacation. If you want me to finalize the poll this weekend, when I don't have time and I'm too busy packing. I'm too busy sorting everything out, getting a babysitter for Ossie and all that. If you guys want me to do, if I'm going to add more work to my life, then I'm joking. I can handle it. But if whoever wants for me to do just number one, whoever wants me to or choose the winner, or set the winner, or announce the winner, or announce the resource pack after my vacation, which is 1 week from now. Well, next Tuesday. One for before, you fucking bastards. You didn't even let me finish writing the two. Two are for after. Two for after. Please do. No? Okay. Istebrak wants to close it to ensure robot children win. No. See, that's what I don't want to do. If someone wants to go for magical companion, then please do. I have something to read, which is so adorable. I don't know. It's just so perfect. Periodical Prose wrote it. Here's my opinion as to why robot children, animals as armed knights, and magical companions are awesome, and I don't care which theme wins as long as it's one of those three. Robot children. One word. Robots. Robots come in many shapes and sizes, and children come in many shapes and sizes. Plus, I am really curious as to how people will convey the technological side of things, especially the post-apocalyptic part. Animals as armed knights. Now here's another one. Armor is super cool, and so are animals. So combining the two themes would be really unique. Also, I think it would be cool to see if weapons are involved. If so, what kind? Not all knights carry swords. Some carry maces, battle axes, spears. Would certain animal types have different armor weapons? Would different materials be associated with different species? Magical companions. Yes, it's a very broad topic, but that's why I'm fascinated about it. Istebrak will have to narrow it down for us, and it'd be really interesting to see what limitations she'll put if it gets chosen. And just because they're magical ones does not mean they have to be Disney-esque. They could very well be something like the Baku from Japanese mythology. Just a small explanation for what a Baku is, from what I understand it to be. A Baku is a supernatural creature that looks like a combination of animals, like a chimera. When children have nightmares, they can call out to the Baku, and it will eat their bad dreams, allowing them to fall asleep peacefully. But if the Baku is still full after eating the bad dreams, it will eat the child's hope as well. Magical companion creatures don't just have to be cute, fluffy creatures associated with Disney and rainbows. They can also be dark, ugly, and disliked. Anyways, that was kind of a long comment. Sorry. I just love this person so much. I just needed to get that out there, and no one in my life outside the computer would listen to me if I tried to bring this subject up. Whatever theme gets picked, I'm sure Istebrak will make it fun and educational challenge. Isn't this person so fucking adorable? And it's not robot chicken. It's robot children. Who's saying chicken? Who's out there saying chicken? Isn't this person adorable? Can we all just take a moment to applaud this beautiful comment here? This positive, hopeful, full of love, and just so active member of our community. Can we just take a moment to just squeeze their cheeks, please? It's so cute. It's so fucking cute. I can't get over it. I just wanted to share it today with everyone. It's so adorable. Anyway, please make sure that you are voting. If you're not voting, and by the end of the week we still have a really close tie, I'm gonna extend it till after. So let's see it like this. I leave on Saturday or Sunday. You've got till tomorrow to make this change. If we start seeing a bigger gap between this and this, I mean, these guys lost. I'm so sorry. But these guys are still very close. 31 and 30 is still too close for me. I'm not considering this a win. It has to be quite a bit of a choice, because everyone's going to have to participate in this, and this is a pretty big one. And there are a lot of gifts for this one for note takers. So I heard you loud and clear. You want it decided soon. But if it's still that's the problem. That's why I don't want to announce it, because it's too much of a tie. All right. Yes, this person is so adorable. Someone is spreading the rumor. Next challenge will be on robot chickens. I was saying before that if it's you know, if Robot Children ends up winning, and basically the narrative is going to be a bunch of all the parents died, and it's just children left behind in this post-apocalyptic place. It's just a place on the earth where all the robots took over, and all the main coder robots, main parent authority figure robots died, and it's just the children robots who have really like I guess adolescent AI is what they're going to be like. They're like children like. They were made as this is what the story was going to be like. They were made as companions for humans, but the humans didn't want them, and they were just thrown out into this post-apocalyptic world, and they made gangs, and they had little gangs. That's what's going to be the story. For Magical Companion, I'm going to describe 3 different scenarios for 3 different types of protagonists, but you don't design the protagonist. You design the protagonist through his companion. So the magical companion should reflect the nature of his pet, which is the human. But we're not going to draw the human at all. You're not supposed to draw the human. So you're supposed to be representing the character through the human through his pet. Just like in Dalmatians, when you see those dog owners. I'm not sure if I can bring it up in time, but the dog owners and how the dog owners look like their masters. I mean, the dogs look like their masters. So it's going to be similar to that. We're going to be given, like, I'm going to give you like a magical companion for a villain, a magical companion for a protagonist, for a witch, for a shaman, something like that. Just basic stuff that'll really dress and vitalize your portfolios a little bit. This comment here, this just gets my +1 right there. Let's just give that over there. So between now and Friday, if I see a gap or if I see a continued tie, it'll decide whether or not I release the resource pack before I go on vacation or after. I'm only going for a week. I might stretch it to 2 weeks. I still haven't decided. I'm a bit of a workaholic, so doing vacations is really difficult for me. But I might just force myself to rest because I've been needing rest. Istebrak, do the robots have to be fully mechanical? Sorry if this question is dumb. It's not dumb at all. What's with this? It's not dumb. It's a good question. Yes, it's a fully automated child. I'm not sure where the accent came from. It's part of the kit. All right, so let's get started. There's a couple of stuff I want to take a look at, and just like last class, I want to start off with a form study and talk about some basics. All right, any questions before I start? Any more questions? Because I'm not looking at the chat for probably another like 15 to 20 minutes. I'm also trying to find an excuse to drink some green tea, so 1 second. Yeah, the robot children could have, you know, farms that have robot chickens in them. Okay, so I'm so sorry about the coughing. Drank that too fast. All right, so we have a bit of an issue with value sharing. Can anyone identify it? I mean, I wish I could just have you guys participate, but the lag is so long, and it's just gonna kill people on YouTube. Someone asked, "How do I draw?" Just sit down and relax, baby. I'll show you how to draw. What do you imagine with the robot children? What is your idea of a robot child? That's not gonna be for now. You can ask those questions when I'm back and the challenge is officially live. But yeah. I'm going to go in now. I'm going to dive into this. All right, so the value sharing is happening right here. If, again, when we come to form studies, we always imagine all the surfaces have lines emerging from them. What did I just do? RGB. Okay. And these lines that are emerging are revealing to us the exposure or the displacement of the surface area to the light source. We've got this straight line. We've got this straight line emerging this way, or kind of even more close to the camera. We've got this line going in this direction. I'm just trying to do like a more of a perspective here. Okay, we've got this one going in this direction. And these all have 90-degree angles, sort of. We've got the one on the other side pointing in that direction. We've got the one on this side pointing in that direction. We've got this piece pointing down here. And this means there's a relationship between this surface and this surface. They're going back and forth, reflecting on each other. They're in love. And then we've got this one facing in this direction. And then this kind of facing in this direction. All right, so when you map this out, you're pretty much going to succeed if you do this. Every time you draw, you're going to pretty much lead yourself into success. The reason why is because there's no way to value share anymore. You're literally telling yourself, dude, this entire area does not in any way in this map share or look at the same in the same direction. This means this is important. Why is it important? Why did I make straight lines? Because the light source works in straight lines. So the light source is coming from this direction, and it's got its own little lights, and it's doing its thing. Actually, the cast shadow is telling me it's going in this direction. My bad. Oh, fuck. All right, so it's bouncing and it's just doing all this crazy stuff. Shush! Take you outside after class. Spoiled brat. Alright, it's bouncing back up. It's bouncing back up. Bouncing on the floor. Alright, so I'm just creating some basic bouncy bounces. Alright, what's happening here? Anywhere where we have a surface area that is equally exposed to the light source, we have, meaning it's parallel, it's surface area, so this one here would actually be parallel. So this area, this side that we don't see, would be the brightest point. And then you got this cast shadow for me here. And then you've got this cast shadow for me here, telling me the light is traveling in this direction, and then this light is traveling in this direction. And then you've got the exposure of this surface area, which is okay if there was bounce light nearby from the room, but this cast shadow is kind of giving it away, because this cast shadow is the same degree as this side, which means that this and this both don't look at the light at equal displacement, meaning the light is really, really kind of like up here somewhere, shining down in this direction. So you've got probably 1, 2, 3 light sources because of what's happening between these shapes. 3 light sources shining on this image because of this cast shadow and this cast shadow and this shadow right here, which is the darkest of this set of 3. And then you've got this one, which is illuminated. So this is the darkest of them all. And this is also dark, but this one was light, meaning that the light should have bounced this way. Meaning that if this was ever to have bounce light on it, the light would have to come up from the top and bounce back up. So it's just like a bunch of, just imagine tiny little balls just bouncing everywhere, and just following this basic map is going to help you answer some questions. If you're trying to work on it till it looks right, you're not going to do well. Another problem is the fact that you've got this gradient. I've told you guys before, stop with the gradients. The reason why is because this surface isn't large enough or reflective enough. You've told me it's concrete. You've told me it's a pretty mattified surface area over here. It should not be getting this dark. If it was diffused, right? Let's say it was diffused. It would just diffuse up to this. It would not be getting this massive gradient on it. It would be a really, really mild little gradient. Meaning that we don't do this. Instead, we do a little something like this. We just diffuse the whole shadow. And this starting to look a little bit more accurate. This is behaving like a cast shadow. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. If the light source was coming from this direction, then this thing would be doing a little thing like this. The cast shadow of that upper piece would be doing that. Also casting the shadow away and then leading the shadow in this direction. We have more than one issue. This and this are both looking in the same direction, but one is brighter and one isn't. So you got too many light sources happening in here. This is looking away just as much from the light source as this is, so we're pretty much giving it the same light source situation. This one is looking up by a little bit, so we should probably borrow between this value and this value. Not this value exactly, but similar to it. Who's still following me? Okay. And then we've got this little cast shadow that's causing a lot of problems because it's value sharing. Its cast shadow is a little too dark. It's not part of the dark environment nearby. It's on a really bright surface. It hasn't yet wrapped around completely. And then we've got the fact that this whole thing is underneath this little head. So the neck would likely be darker. So you had too much going on, buddy. And it's okay. It's okay. That's what it's about, just making the mistake. That's what's important. And then we've got this surface area, which is too dark. It's also, remember that line that was projecting from it. It was not the same. It was not parallel with this surface area, so it's not equally displaced, so it needs a midtone. A little bit of bounce light at the top. Okay, and then we've got the fact that this area, which is the dark side of a groove that's on the bright side, is as dark as anything, something that's looking completely away from the light source. Even though this is not part of the same light, this is a secondary light source coming from above and no cast shadow to account for any of its effect. But let's just treat it as well, whatever the term is for whenever you just treat something as it is. So what I did was I lightened it because stuff that is in a light neighborhood does not get dark. Damn. So what we do is we try to avoid... This is going to sound so racist. But we're just trying to avoid blending these groups together. Alright? Fuck my life. So I'm just lightening this up. This cast shadow, this being dark and this being light, means the light is coming from above, not responding to this cast shadow nearby. And then finally, we've got this area that's too dark. No matter how you look at it, this is too dark. Look at the room. The whole structure of the room, everything to do with this entire side is just too dark because there's bounce light. Even the cast shadow isn't allowed to stay sharp. So if I lighten this, I'm going to have to lighten this even more. Let me try to do that with a blocky blocker. Okay. So the one that's cast from this direction, which is on this side, is not actually following the right angle because, it's not responding to the light source coming from above. It's getting light on it, meaning there's light coming in this direction, reaching this area. So it's responding to the same light source as this block and this cast shadow. So what did we learn? We learned that choose one light source, please, and follow it. Map out your entire shapes, like all the planes and the surface areas, and which direction they look. Map that out first. Just map out all the vectors. And once you map those out, respond to one light source nearby and map it out if you have to. The more you map it out, the easier it will be for you to remember that it needs to be mapped out in this style. So it'll be easier for you to remember and think about the map without having to draw it anymore. But if you avoid it, you don't use it, it'll be very difficult for you to draw it. This area does get a little bit of bounce light, but not so much, only because it's looking at the floor. Select inverse. Alright, so please map out your stuff. This might need a bit higher of a bounce, but I'm not entirely sure. It's facing the shadowed side. There isn't anything nearby to strengthen that secondary diffuse that much. It just should be lighter than this side, which is facing away from the bounce. Also, the cast shadow is too dark. And the cast shadow shape is kind of just throwing off the whole piece. Wouldn't you guys love it? My haters would love it if I said, you know what, just give up on her. If I said that. You know what, this has too many mistakes, just go ahead and give up on her. God, I'm terrible. I've been watching too much Family Guy. I'm so sorry. I don't mean that, obviously. But But let me shape it out first. But imagine if I did that one day and I was fully serious, but I let you guys know that I was joking, right? But I did it. I went on with it and I uploaded the video, and we just sit there watching the haters just jump on this. That would be wonderful. That would have been a great April Fool's joke. What about transmission and absorbance? Reflection is only one quality of light ray interaction. Absorbance is for transmission. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but absorption is when we have saturation and translucency in the object's texture, and I've covered that. I've covered subsurface scattering, what to do, how to diffuse if the light is coming from the inside out. But as for specific terms, I don't know what you're referring to in what context. You can always cut out everything for the video. No, please don't cry. So what we do now is we just diffuse this, because the cast shadow the object receiving the cast shadow is very light, not allowing any of this to happen, any of this dark stuff. And then nearby we've got this surface, and then we've got, as an artist, all you want to be really concerned with, your only concern is reflection. Just worry about that for now. If at one point your work is so advanced that you need absorption and transmission and all these extra little physical decorations in your vocabulary, if you eventually need those, then your portfolio should be prepared for it. That means that you already have reflection down. Alright, so the light's coming from this direction, illuminating that just a little bit. Let me just go back and forth till it feels right, and my eyes are always on this. So the darker the object, the darker the shadow, even if it's a solid. Of course, especially if it's a solid. The even should have been even if it's a translucent object. So if it's no, the answer would be no, not the darker it goes, the darker the shadow. If it's a translucent object, if it's a see-through material, if it's a see-through pashmina or veil or curtain that's brown, which is pretty dark, but it's very, very see-through, at that point the shadows cast on it don't have to be that dark. Of course, they have to be darker than the base tone. They can't be lighter. You don't have light shadows. You just follow the base tone, whatever the base tone is telling you. Alright, so let's take a look at this. The cast shadow is still a little bit funny. I'm not sure why a lot of you that try cast shadows make it exactly like flush with the end shape right here. Please tilt it just a little bit. Have a little bit of fun. Have a little bit of fun with the cast shadow. I don't mean like, going crazy and throwing off the stuff, but just have a little bit of fun. Tilt it, do some stuff. All right, we just tilt it away to one side. Select inverse. All right, you don't have to make it perfectly straight. All that's gonna do is just confuse you. And then you've got this smudge on the edges. The cast shadows disappear and get fuzzier the further they get from the object casting them. Alright, so let's do the before and after. But that would be really funny, wouldn't it? If I if I did. You got too many mistakes here. You know what? I really recommend this. Just give up on art. Try to find another hobby. I don't think I'd be able to say it with a straight face. Alright, before. Nothing wrong with simplicity, and simplicity is the way of physics. Physics is all about simplicity, all about uniform rules, the same exact rules 1 million light years away as they are here. Nothing changes, except the rule of gravity, meaning that some planets are, rotation, or some planet's mass changes its pull on any objects on top of it. Don't worry about gravity, please. Yeah, the shape is wonderful. The shape is great. Good job, Joshua. I hope you know I'm joking. My gosh, Joshua, please don't cry. No, my God. Kill me. Hang myself. Okay, so Joshua, instead of responding like that, what did you learn today? Write it up for me. I'm going to look for your answer. Right? Ask. No, should I really go? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm just joking at your expense. I'm so sorry. I really don't mean it. OC, be quiet. So what did I change today, Joshua? What was it all about? What were all my changes about? Yes, the strength of the light source, the fact that the surface here is the same surface as the background. Surface here receiving it, the same as the background. The object itself, it's light, is light, and as a student, you're not allowed to bring in contrast. So this is even more contrasted than it should be. Typically, it should be darker just around here, just at the root of this shadow. But again, I don't like allowing students to bring in contrast. I like to inhibit it when I can. So just around here, it's a little bit darker. All right. Come on, Joshua, I believe in you. Write it up for me. What did you learn today? Okay. Can't find the right word in English. It just means light can pass through the object. Translucency. Opaque means the light can't. Transparent means it completely is see-through like glass. And translucent means that it's like fabric or something that it can pass through. I thought that it was great, Antares. Don't mind the haters. Gotta work on the arrows thing for value sharing. I always have a hard time determining the range of values in my form studies. Areas don't go dark in a light environment. I'll remember forever that you said that. Yeah, they just don't completely go. I mean, a light environment here, you used it as an adjective, not as a noun. A light environment, describing the nature of it. Yes, if it's light, if it's a light environment, then yes. Yeah, lighten my values, keep the directions of the object planes on light source. Planes one light source, I can't type. Yeah, so basically make sure you're mapping out, make sure you're not value sharing. Respond to one light source at a time. Please stop trying to do many light sources at once. Even this cast shadow here is just throwing me off. I really have no idea what to do with it. I have to just map it out. Yeah. Alright, so if you were painting some sort of landscape and this was some sort of Star Wars behemoth in the middle of a desert, as they like to do, this is exactly what you want to do for an object in the distance that's diffused by atmospheric fade, by the sand nearby, by the super sun, or 2 or 4 suns, whatever George Lucas feels like doing that day. And then all that doesn't allow this excessive darkening of shadows. The darker you go as the sun sets, the longer the shadows, the less light, the more dark, the less diffused the shadows are. Alright. What value I should use as midtone on form study. I've told you guys many times that the values you should be using are between here and here. Nothing darker, nothing deeper unless you have to, or lighter. Okay, so what's up next? Let's see what's next on the docket. Did you consider streaming on Twitch? Could be better, maybe. Could be. I have a thing or two to say about Twitch. Suck my dick being one of them. Okay. Alright, so penumbra is when 2 shadows are overlapping each other. So when you have 2 cast shadows of 2 objects cast from 2 different light sources on top of each other. And then they get darker as they share because we've got 2 areas that are completely exempt. One area that they're overlapping is completely exempt from both light sources, meaning it's darker than anything else around it. Okay, so here we've got a cast shadow. Let's find this cast shadow. Let's find light source number 1. By the way, today I'm going to do a hair tutorial. Okay, so this cast shadow is starting here and doing this whole thing. And the way it's continuing is something like this. So some of these fish are actually right on the halfway point of this cast shadow. So, I'm going to do this. Jeez. Alright, let's see if I can do it. Okay. So this is the cast shadow right here. Anything past this pyramid is just all darkness. The light cannot access it. So we've got this really perfect plane. It's just coming off this one building, and it's continuing all the way over there. I should probably have made these closer together. Yeah. And it continues off this object, encompassing everything. So I should probably delete these lines so you can get a better picture of what it is in and what it is not in. What? Alright, so that's the cast shadow. Some of these little fishies, fish birds, are in the shadow and some are not. So the ones that are in the shadow stay as they are, as you've shaded them. The ones that are not, you have translucency to worry about, meaning that these objects here actually can be pretty illuminated. The only problem is that you've illuminated them so much already, you've pretty much got nothing left to work with. And white doesn't have to be super white every time you use it. It doesn't have to be this super white. Every time you guys use white, you overuse it. You leave nothing left. There's nothing left for you to use anywhere else. So all this beautiful light is just going to get right on top of these little fish scales. And you had an excellent opportunity to show off some translucency, some subsurface scattering. Oh my gosh, some subsurface scattering in the fins here is so beautiful. But you didn't. You had some opportunities to cast some shadows off some fish on other fish. So this down here is all in shadow. And so I'm going to do that on purpose because when we do have the light peeking through, it's going to make a difference. Look at that. Yummy, right? I love cast shadows. They're just so beautiful. I'm sure you got a couple of these wings completely caught in the light. This block right here in the distance shouldn't be so illuminated because the light is at a really sharp angle, meaning the cast shadow didn't start here. The cast shadow actually started off this block. So when we do that, it'll actually make sense, and it won't be so dark, won't be so light behind that wing. It'll actually make the wing kind of pop a little more. Okay, so we've got all that. Let's lower this guy down a little. All right. Okay, and then we've got the fact that this fishy could possibly, maybe, and nobody's measuring, nobody's keeping track, could be casting a shadow on this little fish right here. So that's shadow number one. This one could have been casting a shadow on, let's see if I can track them down. Yep, this one could have been casting a shadow on this one. So this actually gets a little bit more shadow on it. But it's got little tiny points of relief where we get some, so that's the shadow shape starting here. The stem is, this is probably the shadow. No, this is not a shadow. I'm trying to just cheat and find other ways. Probably here and here. So this casts a shadow there. I would love to have seen another one. I'm just probably going to throw a little shadow on this little dude. No, he's carrying too much responsibility. It's going to be hard finding shadows because there's nothing on top of this guy to block his, like if there was one over here, then we could cast a shadow right there on his neck. But anyway, that's pretty much what you want to look for, opportunities to cast shadows, and because these are beautifully set right in the way of the light source, we want to show off which ones are in the umbra, in the shadow of the main light source, and which ones aren't. And then we've got the bounce light off the ones near each other. So this guy is near this guy, bouncing light back up on him. And then you've got some of them, their eyeballs are right under the light, catching some sunshine. This guy here as well, just some light snuck in. It's okay for the sake of the camera. Some reflection off the water nearby. So I'm going to grab some of this turquoise throw it here somewhere. And then throw a little bit of extra turquoise here. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the belly of each of these little fishies. They're all coming really close to the water. They're reflective. They're white. White is, it reflects anything nearby it. It takes the nature of anything nearby it. It allows all the colors to reflect. This should not be a yellow. This should be a blue. Okay. And then you've got some of these little ones. It's only the tip will get out of the light. Get out of the shadow. Only their little tips. Not the whole. Because they're higher. The higher you get on a cast shadow, the less the cast shadow consumes you. The lower you get, the larger the spread. So when we're thinking this guy, he's popping right out of the cast shadow. He's popped completely out. This one here, I feel like they're all gliding while this one's just paddling. Maybe you should make his wings a little larger. That way you could have cast a shadow on this one. And also you wouldn't have this arrow, this empty space, which is really awkward. You want to create as many of these little crosses as you can. We covered the importance of that cross back in when we did character design silhouettes. So I really want the impact to be nice and extensive, so I'm going to try to go for a full paint over. So bear with me, I'm not looking at the comment section. That bothers you. Just wait. Okay, and then a little more of that business. There we go. That really completed it. And I'm going to extend this dude's little feathers all the way out so he can also breach that shadow and get some interesting little effects on him. This is layering on top of that. Guess what prepares you for this? Cylinders and spheres, boys and girls. This one's in the shadow, so it's going to be darker. And then we're going to move on to, oops, this guy here. It's going to be on top. He's got little fins. What's happening with this guy? Oh, they're feathers. Okay. Leave the feathers till after. Don't let the feathers be part of the main unit. Because what you'll end up doing is you'll end up confusing everything. You want to just focus on the main unit, the main form study, and out of that just kind of bring in details later. But yeah, form studies, cubes and cylinders prepare you for all of these instances here. And again, this one's breached, so it's going to have a bit more reflection on it. Okay. So you've used so much white already. It's such a bright piece that when we do use the white, it's not really taking effect. What you can do, because we're in a cast shadow, is, this is my favorite part of life, is get a nice purple wash on darken mode and just toss it right there. And then erase away wherever you had objects breach that light. So right along here. Okay, and we've got this, of course. And I'm going to follow that line I drew. Wherever that cast shadow stopped, I'm going to just stop that right there. This border. And then just start erasing away. So wherever we have a little bit of breaching happening, careful not to let it, involve the background. It's not going to be to this intensity or this degree. Of course, we still need to lighten everything back up, but we're still going to keep a great deal of this behind. I'm trying to just bring in some subsurface scattering. This light source here that's reflected off the water. It's going to be nice and echoed now. This little dude, this one over here is going to be in light. this cast shadow is much darker up there and much sharper where it starts and much less wide here. And then now I'm just going to find the rim of all these wings. You might benefit from bringing in a subcolor, probably a pink, into the areas in between the feathers, like the sinews and the stems of the feathers. Reason being, you have only one light source right now, one color right now for these fish in their wings, and you're not getting a chance to saturate and illuminate, which is what we do with subsurface scattering. So you might consider bringing in some of that hot pink in here. Here, too much white, just way too much white. If I grayscale it for you, you're just using way too much white. And that's what happens when we use all the colors before we should. Darken. But we're using all the values before we've assessed exactly what we're doing, because we end up throwing off the piece completely. There's no opportunity for us to really use white when we need it. The background has too much white on it. The sunshine is coming from the other side of the buildings. What's the background doing so bright? It's a part of the half of this hemisphere of the world is already getting darker in the sky. And you've got no cast shadows. You've got some cast shadows moving in this way. You got some really, really nice ones here. But this is too much contrast, especially because they're in so much light. There's just too much white and too much black on them. And it's become busy. So you see how you didn't take a chance here with the cast shadow. You really want to show the trail of that cast shadow. So now all that's left is just to saturate. Wherever you've got opportunities to saturate, bring in some saturation. This area is entirely dark, so do it in units and degrees, piece by piece. And then right along here, no matter, unless it's nighttime, the water wouldn't drop that to that level value. The water is a reflective substance. It's going to have a lot of chances from the bounce light nearby, all kinds of stuff to reflect that color of the sky all the way back. That's just way too much sunshine and way too many nearby objects to reflect light back inside the water. The water's not going to be allowed to turn into mud. This is for nighttime only. And now you have a reason for all this bounce light coming back up. And it's still dark if you assess it at a grayscale. Really beautiful job with the reflection here. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful job. It's not just on the outsides. It's not just on the upper sides. It's all the way down. It's on the lower halves of nearly every building. The color of that water is reflecting back up. It's on the lower half of the boat. And the boat is also getting some light on it. And the pattern of the light, the pattern of the water, as well as the color of the water. These little pieces, depending on how close they get to the fish, they can reflect their color back up on the fish. These little golden pieces, and these little golden pieces work as amazing little accents here. Imagine this little guy just peeking right out of that cast shadow. So let's see where we placed it. Let's pretend he's peeking right out of the cast shadow. I'm going to saturate some more. So it's not always a good idea to overexpose, because then you don't have a chance to show these beautiful little rim lights as they happen. This guy shouldn't be as bright as this guy. And then half the sky should be in shadow. I'm not sure how I'll pull that off. Here, let me see. Yeah, that's not gonna happen. 20. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. So I'm gonna grab a dark value and just see if I can darken part of the sky. Shouldn't all be bright like that. Just the half that the sun can reach. And that way you have more of a frame happening in the painting. And then these dudes, there's way too much black on them. I mean, there's so many opportunities to defuse all of this. Deselect. So many chances here, just coming off the water on his pants. Reveal a little bulge for the ladies. And then her little sword thing. Get some light on it as well from this nearby area that's bouncing light back. And all the light that reaches them at the top is natural light, because that's the sunshine bouncing off nearby buildings. So this whole area just gets diffused completely. I'm just running a big brush on top of it. It's not nighttime. It's not any kind of like closed scene or film noir. And then the reason why I'm not fully reflecting, because these are fish and they have scales, the reason why I'm not fully doing it is because you get to do this with the scale. So just get a good scale texture or something like that. And get into bringing in accurate scale texture. The color used here is wonderful. Let me see if I can just bring that exact color. And monochromatic. There we go. And you got some areas in here that are just too warm. Areas that should be more shadow. So these are just a little bit too warm. I would tilt them down a little bit more into the purples. So you've got that. And then you've got this pretty little, right here on this cast shadow. You got this, actually let me desaturate there because that's not right. Then you can saturate just along this little belt. Not too bright. This fella feels like he should be a little bit more illuminated. And then you've got that glow back. So you've got a lot of chances here to make these fish glow because of the light that is striking them. So you just grab the white and you just make it glow. Grab that white and make it glow back. That bloom. Alright, and that's where you are allowed to bring in those spikes of saturation. Okie dokie. Look at that. Look at that yummy stuff. Here, you know what? I'm going to show the trail of the cast shadow. Just along here. Just the actual rim of the cast shadow. Reveal it along the wing of this guy. There we go. And because the light is wrapping all the way around this guy who's almost completely out of the cast shadow, he's going to get that rim light just around him on both sides. And then a little bit of a glow back. Just that bloom. Some more on his back. Some more along the rim of this wing. And then some more along the top of that wing. And this is just detailing. So he's completely out almost of the shadow and the rest are just still in there. And he's reflecting some light on top of his buddies nearby. Any questions at all? Any questions? Okay, so let's take a look at the difference. I would still bring in way more saturation and reflection on these guys because they're actually walking like pieces of glass, flying pieces of glass. You just got to treat them as glass, but more impact, more light environment, less of an awkward silhouette. They feel less stale, like just pieces of paper in the air. They actually feel active. The piece doesn't overwhelm you or feel too busy. We darken the background where it needs to be and created some focus around here, leading the eyes back to these fellas. You see how bright it is that we can barely tell there's fish on this side as well? It's just too bright on this side. Will the top be darker on the bridge or the bottom? Will the reflection of the water light the bottom up? It'll generally be darker than the nearby landscape, but it will reflect the water. The water doesn't contest. The water is a secondary light source. It's not going to contest the primary light source in any way. I have a 1080p monitor. Samsung. Graphic tablet, or I have an Intuos Pro. How would you treat that bridge? It's very saturated and can't see any local color affecting that blue saturation. It's the water nearby. I would leave the bridge alone. It's beautiful. It's the water nearby reflecting back up. All of these areas, anywhere where you have a low hanging, like right here, you have a low hanging little thingy-majiggy, and it's just the bottom side of any bridge, bring in some of that. Keep reflecting the light underneath. Keep diffusing the primary, or else you'll be left with nothing. But this is only for, I'm sorry to say it, but it's only for more advanced students to properly pursue the effective diffusion of a primary light source. For now, please just focus on responding to the primary light source to begin with. Any questions? At Istebrak, the local color, bridge, underneath part. Okay, no more questions. Okay. Nope. So this is it. I'm going to get into that hair tutorial now for you guys. And if you haven't started on your form studies, please do. They really do help you unravel all of this. Before I get into the form study, I was just going to look at this face real quick. This from here to here, so let's get out a handy dandy red pen. From here to here, pretty much, to be fair. Let's be fair. From here to here, and from probably, I'm sorry, but there's all the way here. That's not enough. To here, we've got almost the exact same value. Why is that problematic? If we were to draw these forms, so that's just giving it away, but alright. So let's start off with the basic one. So sorry. Okay, so this is a cheek. How do I know? Because you told me over here. You told me it's nice and high, and she's smiling. So what you're doing here is you're showing me elevation over here, but you're not showing me anything happening here. If you used a fashion photo, that's probably why you ended up having this issue. Fashion photography is, it's just, you don't trust it. You don't use it for reference unless it's good photography, unless they've preserved some of the shadows and actually captured real shadows. If they're diffusing everything and making it look like Maybelline magazine spread, that you just don't use that. What we should have been seeing is this. Look at that. What's wrong with this? It's just another sphere. It's just another form study in a radial shade. That's it. The light's coming from the side. It's pretty diffuse. It's not that intense a light source. Also, you've got eyelids over here. Where's the eyelid over here? It's not going to make her look tired. Don't worry. You just need a good edge and a nice light value. She won't look tired. Just a little thing there, and I'm just going to smudge this out and blend it away. Right here, this is a wonky geometric anatomy, and you've got a little, you've got a line. You don't need that line. You're a strong, independent artist. You don't need that line. No, it's not the cast shadow. The cast shadow's out here. Darken this half of the nose and complete that cast shadow. Just give me that nice hard edge, okay? Fuck, man. Like I've said, oh man, I can't even give you guys this idea because anyone can go back and edit with it. God damn it, Istebrak, you're setting yourself up. Alright. So extending that there. It's okay. Even if it looks robotic, keep it. It does more for your work. And what we do is we zoom in, and then we blend away. Any questions at all? Are the fish too crowded on the left? I didn't think they were too crowded at all. I think they were great. I think for now the artist here shouldn't focus on every single tiny little minuscule problem. You should focus on the main lighting issues revealed by this masterpiece you attempted. When we attempt masterpieces beyond our skill level, the one good thing that comes out of that is, I mean, you might get employed, but that's not a guarantee. But you discover your issues. You discover what you're having issues with. If this is a light source, then keep it bright. But if it's not a light source, it really should have been shaded a little better. So we've got darken. I use the skin tone only because darken works like that. And then, fuck, I should have done a new layer. Okay. Darken. And then if it's reflective, have a nice little reflector right there. If it's got a cast shadow, cast that baby in this direction. And sometimes we can cast shadows indirectly, so we just have to carry some light in this direction. Oops, I'm still on darken. And we can cast the shadow, just like that. We don't have to bring in a whole new dark value just to cast a measly little shadow. And then you can, if it's reflective, it needs a little bit more light to it. Right, so the problem was that you had this smiling cheek, fully smiled cheek. What does that mean? It means your cheeks dimple up and they become these full, you know, swells, and they're dense too. But they had the same value through and through on all sides. This side and this side, and that's not appropriate. If the light source is coming from the top, then this should trail all the way around. Just like so. Okay. And goes down this way. Halfway on the chin. This spot on the chin is too dark. And then blending. You need blending in your life. You need a smudge brush. Just, I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use this one. No, I'm going to use this one. This one's good for hairlines. It's nice and fizzy. And I'm just going to blend away at that hairline. So the comb, it's coming this way, but it's growing in this direction. And then you've got another hairline this way. You need to blend hairlines. It will look like a wig if there is no intermediary shade. Same around the eyebrows and the lower half of the brow. It'll look like a sticker. Same thing around the lips. They're all unified. They're all growing together. They're all under a film of flesh and fat and oil. And you went too dark around the lips here. This little alien kid. Shush. So again, I'm just smudging around here so it feels more like a natural smile, a natural laugh. She doesn't look old. Do you want to know what to do to make her look old? He's got to bring in this nasty little... There you go. If you did that, then that would make her look old. So if you were worried this whole time, oh, I couldn't bring in the laugh mark, the laugh line, because, you know, I didn't want her to look old, I wanted her to look young. She still looks young, and young people smile, and they get laugh lines. They get laugh lines. Young people have that. You don't have to completely erase away and show absolutely no elevation. Some people do have a larger upper lip, and you have something that looks like that. I mean, it's your choice what you want to do. whatever the face ends up looking like, what kind of face you want to draw. But right here along the main dimple, all radiating down to the pit of the outer corner of the mouth, should all be, you know, a sphere. It should all be expressed as an elevation, as an altitude. Right here, the nose packed against the cheek. And then we've got this right here. So I'm going to finish off with a quick nose tutorial. Hair tutorial for those who need it. Right now, the whites of the eyes are very, very red. So if you have any questions, now is the time to ask before I finish up with this. So what you got to do is grab the skin tone color, get on the color mode of the brush, and just brush away at the reds. You can keep the water line the same, but if you keep that red everywhere, it'll look bloodshot. And I guess we all look like this when we're high in the mirror. Just joking. Hope nobody understood what I just said. That white is throwing off your values. It shouldn't be that light in there. And then finally, you've got the issue of the whites of the eyes and the water in the eyes not changing the value of the lower half of the pupil. So if water did well up on the lower half of the eye, what it does is a nice little diffusion of the darkness of the shadow right here. Beautiful job on the shadow of the eyelids though. And I'm going to grab one of these dark spots and kind of express a darker recession for the outer corner, but not all the way into black. And I'm kind of just going to cool it down. Just like that. Just something small to promote that. And then just finish up this way. Bringing that light in this direction. Casting a couple shadows. Yummy, yummy shadows. And this lip should just disappear into the distance. It shouldn't be that visible. It's part of the receding side. It's part of the rotated side away. We see more of the C shape. Again, if you guys aren't understanding what I'm talking about, if 3/4 view is just still a little bit too complicated, I have a whole video dedicated on just 3/4 view. Okay, so before, after. Okay, felt a little flat. Now it feels a little bit more defined. I would keep the definition of the jawline. They are very skinny. Whoop. Okay. Keep some of these areas. And I'd probably bring in a lash line. And if the lash line is going to be too dark for you, then you can try a dark pink lash line. Just something to show that it's all the same hair color. I'm just bringing back all the smallest areas of black. I'm not bringing it back a ton. Around the nose, around the dark spots. See the eyes, the nostrils, and the mouth. Those are the only areas I'm looking at in the before and after. And you went even darker around the lip, so I went even lighter than that. Okay, so you have more form. You have more of a realistic smile. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to leave you there. And I'm going to get into the hair. Do you guys have any questions left? The point where the jaw meets the neck is too abrupt. I think the jawline would connect into the ear. So yeah, I agree. Any more questions? All right. So for hair, you've done the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. For these large pieces, I'm just using the chalk brush, not a chalk brush. It's one of my dry oil brushes. It's number 2, dry oil brush number 2. So I'm using this for the brushes. So if you're curious as to which brush it is, trust me, the brush doesn't make you draw better, but that's the brush I used. And what you're supposed to do for these entire sections is just paint in blocks, large to small. And when you start with hair, you're basically starting in this kind of size, leading into the smallest ones. You get to use as many as you want with this, probably up to like 300 brush strokes. You don't even need that. But if you can't seem to decide and you keep going back and forth, as many as you want of the large brush stroke. This is where you design the bulk of the hair. A lot of the hair kind of like melts together because of oils. You don't treat every single hair strand. Students are like, hey, hair is like one strand by one strand, so it would naturally make sense. It would be a natural way to render it if I drew every single individual hair. The result should always be realistic hair, right? No, absolutely not. You only get 2 of these, okay? You get like tops 10 of these brush strokes. You really have to count them. And this is like 2 of them. Okay, so tiny little brush stroke like that you get to place in. So when we're working with this kind of hair, what we're doing is segmenting certain areas with a large brush on purpose, because we want to create that overlap and treating different brush sizes. Hair chunks with different brush sizes. So we've got 2 here. We separate it with a quick little smaller brush. And this one here gets separated. And we're just trying to create bodies of hair, different bodies of different chunks, all following the same hair growth pattern. So there isn't much happening right now with the hair growth pattern. They all seem to be cascading down. And what I do after I get a nice map of my large brush strokes, and all these sizes change according to what your subject size is, I kind of go back and try to see if I can divide them up even further. By the way, viewers on YouTube, I meant it when I said if you have nothing decent to say about the student, their work, or my critique, don't say anything. I meant it. And if you are showing, like if I wake up in the morning and I see 6 of your comments across like 6 videos of you just doing nothing but bashing either the student or the critique, I will just ban you from my channel, like very, very simply. Again, my channel isn't so large that I can't do this manually. So if you've got nothing decent to say, please fuck off. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I got the smudge brush, and what I'm trying to do is all these brush strokes here have a tail to them now. They start somewhere because that's the brush's nature. It's just messy. I'm going to find all of these areas where I did have that and blend it away. And I'm going to go back to what you drew and blend some of that off. And when it comes to detail, we want to think about detail relief, detail relief. We're not trying to show detail, 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 detail. Again, the camera is seeing all of it, but our eyes are not. When we meet a portrait, when we meet someone, we're looking at their eyes. Everything else is unimportant. Right now, when I'm looking at her eyes, all I can see is this grain, this noise of detail here on the side. Do it with me. Look at the eyes and notice in your periphery, there's all this noise, and that's causing distraction. Now you notice it's not here. It's nice and blurred and out of the way. Okay, so what we're doing now, we're just continuing this pattern. And as long as you're doing your smudging, this is exactly how we do it in traditional as well. We go back and find the tail of all our brush strokes and clean them up. And look, I haven't even gotten into this layer yet. I haven't even gotten into this level. Right now where I'm at, compared to the large brush that I use, I'm probably here relatively. I'm not actually here, I'm on this size, but this is for a larger painting. Nobody uses this size for this tiny a head. And now in order to use that the smallest brush, we just find little pieces here where we have little tiny brush strokes. We just need these brush strokes to express that little piece of hair and what it's doing. Sometimes I shrink it all the way down. Do you see that? dark or light values, but not unless I'm going back and smudging away at this brush, because it's just way too extreme, way too strong. I'm just looking for size, I'm not looking for sharpness. And this actually looks like layering hair, pieces of hair on top of each other. Some of them cast shadows on each other just like that. Sorry, my tablet's off, like it's just gone crazy. It's giving me these little glitches. I guess I need to increase the size, and I'm just casting a shadow. Some pieces cast shadows. Alright, now we're going back and cleaning up. And this is my exact method for every painting, all those crappy drawings from my past. This is exactly how I did them. If anyone's curious how I did the hair, I always got questions about how'd you do the hair? How'd you do the hair? And that's it. This is exactly it. You're avoiding using the smaller brush and going piece by piece and just rendering as you go, but not unless you're looking at the eyes and making sure that the amount of detail you're introducing here is nowhere close to contesting the eyes, combating the focal point. Right along here, please smudge your hearts out. You don't want a wig hairline. You want a more believable hairline. You start with the smudge, and then you interrupt the smudge by some of the skin tone color dragged upward. This is a really, really strong skin tone color. I'm going to use a different brush. I'm going to use this one. There we go. That's good for hair. Lower opacity. We're just dragging the skin tone color upward. And again, smudging away to make a more believable hairline that actually looks like it's growing. It's not growing in like some sort of military formation one beside the other. It's as randomized as nature does. And we've got a little fold here. So part of this is all going to be in shadow. A nice large brush, do the trick. And then throwing in some more of these large brushes to create some chunks, some pieces. Just the same over here. And again, I'm treating this as one big flat rectangle, so it's going to cast some shadows and then fold upward, just like this piece did. And then it's going to cascade back down like that. It's very, very hard finding out what you were trying to do. I'm going to do that, but on a smaller scale. And you just keep layering back and forth. That's the thing with hair. You gotta just, whatever you think you finished, you gotta go back. And remember, I'm correcting right now. I'm in a state of correction. I'm correcting pieces. I'm not drawing this from scratch. If I were to draw this from scratch, I'd have planned out a more cohesive kind of like hair pattern. My head, it just keeps turning over to the navigator, constantly going back. Pretty long class, bear with me. It's the last one I'm going to do before my vacation. I'm not going to see you guys for potentially 2 weeks. I'm sorry if you guys have to go. Over here you get a little bit fuzzy around the sides, and you don't want to do that. Give it some texture. You will go back and blur out what you need. But this is a good chance to just go in and bring in some silhouette texture to the hair. Again, we're going back here, zooming out. And do this piece here, it's a little larger. When I go back and bring in all those tiny little pieces, I'm going to do it very, very carefully, and I'm going to do it only when I'm done the hair completely. I'm bringing in a highlight here, hair highlights on a curve, like big C shapes. And I'm doing this with Dodge Tool really quick. Also, Dodge Tool is a little So it kind of oversaturates. What you want to do is find exactly where dodge tool touched and go back and desaturate it. And then paint around all these areas. So some areas are not going to get the highlight. Some areas are facing away from the light source. So I'm just finding these. And again, working large to small. And the only reason why we got away with such small brush strokes over here is because they're very close to the eyes. I'm just finding the source of these pieces, of these chunks, and then just following through. Some on the edges are going to kind of breach the edge. And again, if you zoom in and count how many tiny ones we're going to do. Usually I zoom out when I do these, but sometimes in order to really get a better impact, you kind of got to zoom in and then zoom back out. And sometimes they cross over, little pieces just cross over, and they cast little tiny shadows. So I follow them up with a shadow. This piece here. And not 10 for the whole head, so I know I told you guys 10, but per large chunk, like per third of a painting or per third of a head, it's really, you gotta calculate it. There's a lot of eyeballing and it takes a lot of time to complete a full head of hair and actually make it look nice. And then you've got the general shadow, so this bends inward away from the light source, so I'm going to use the darken layer and just darken that inward. Just like that, and then darken this half. And then right here on the edges, same brush, it's the Hard Edge Blendable Blocks. Istebrak's naming. Right, that's the brush I just used. This is the brush I'm going to use here on the sides as well. So blendable blocks only because I had transfer on. And this little piece, see how this highlight travels this way? This little piece will get highlighted just around here. So you see, you actually go, you reverse engineer it. You don't actually go in with tiny little hairs. You reverse it, you go with the large pieces and then work your way into the small pieces. Because your eyes are not seeing every little hair. You're not an eagle. The camera can see every little hair, but a camera is a camera. Camera is a tool. And I'm just going back and blending all of this. Where does Inuyasha find hair dye? Is that a joke? Why are you guys talking about Inuyasha? Oh yeah, by the way, Izem, I don't know if you noticed, I don't know if Izem's gone. Is Izem gone? Tommy, where are you? Tom, silence anyone who keeps talking about Inuyasha. Okay? Okay, Tom? You guys are not supposed to be talking outside of the topic at hand. Ask questions regarding the discussion and nothing more. If I hear any more discussion on Inuyasha, y'all gonna get cute. Okay. So, continuing that pattern over here. Oh, you're here, Izem? Okay. Yeah, Izem. You're supposed to not let them discuss outside of the topic. Alright, I love this brush now, apparently. I'm gonna go back to my first brush. I've changed since the first brush. Sorry, Izem, I thought you left. I thought you went to your little outing you mentioned earlier. So darkening that shadow here. What I'm going to do now is desaturate anywhere where we have a shadow. So I'm going to go back with the sponge tool and desaturate. Where I am going to saturate is along the belt of any highlight. So I'm going to go here and just saturate. Okay, so you see that I overdid it. Let me show you again. I overdid it. Just around here. Actually, this color is garbage. I'm going to try to find another color. It's more yellow and gold than orange. Dodge tool, it's just like, you know, it's just one of those friends that flakes on you. Sometimes they're good and you guys have a good week together, and sometimes it's just, you know, like, you know, you have one fight, you never talk to each other again. That's dodge tool. Dodge tool is that kind of person. We've all had one, unfortunately. Right, I'm going to get the dodge tool and repeat that pattern over here. It's a bit shiny, this hair, but for the sake of the demonstration. And then desaturate. I swear to God, if anybody's talking about Inuyasha. Alright, get that blendable blocking brush again. Almost done. Promise. And then just going back, working large to small. You can't bring in the tiny brush strokes unless you have a couple of large brush strokes in there. Okay. Look at that. That's pretty. Okay, and then, oh my gosh, I'm missing all the rain outside for you guys. You guys better know how much I love you guys. That I'm missing the rain for your asses. I'm joking. It'll keep raining. We only get summer like once a month in this year. In this area. I mean, summer once a year as a month. in this latitude. Okay, and then smudging away. And again, just saturating, because we already had that color in there. Saturating around these pieces. And we keep these outer areas, these outer rings, just kind of out of the way. Nice and out of the way. We also don't bring in super, super tiny brush strokes around the eyes. And even down here, you know how I brought in all of this shine? Just demonstrating, I have to go back and darken it because this eye socket area, this whole T-zone is going to demand the focal point highlight. So down here, anywhere down here. And we never do this. We never bring our hair all the way to the edge of the canvas. Just like get rid of it. Finish it off before the edge of the canvas. Okay, so this is, you also have the chance to bring in some, let me just undo that because now it's gross. Yeah, but finish it off, lengthen the canvas as you need to. But just around here. We need some flyaway hairs. Unless she has unless her hair is hairspray, this is not this. You're gonna have flyaway hair. I keep them pretty thin and out of the way, and then I go back and smudge them out if they're too intense. That belt of highlight, again, will just happen all the way around here as well. And then desaturate. This dodge tool is a little itch, and then just bring that in. Okay, so that's the basics. Those are the basics with hair. A good reference nearby is great. Just remember, please don't try to copy its actual detail. That's a lot of detail, and that's not right for your painting. You just capture some of the units that have this kind of cluster of large to small hair brush strokes. And if the hair is combed awkwardly and if it looks icky, you just don't use that as a reference unless you're painting like some kind of Nazi youth or something. Then you can have that icky comb, but pretty much you're treating the hair as a unit. So if the hair is combed right on the scalp, it is a matter of like bringing in the actual comb texture and stuff. But you see here, I'm treating it as a unit, and it's getting these little radially descending values right here. Right here, the light isn't reaching on these sides. So let's merge down and compare the before and after. Nice and out of the way, but it's still hair, but it's definitely not what you did before. Okay, and if the edges here are too soft, I forgot to smudge these, you can just smudge away at the edges. I'm going to use the scatter brush smudge. It'll do the job nicely. Just getting it out of the way. And part of that halo of smudge, see I still have that hair there, but it's not intense, is going to behave like tiny little lines anyways. The hairline is also just a little bit iffy you might want to stretch this parting. Move away up. Okay. So before, after. And that's how to do hair. The fact that it blends this way, it highlights on this curve. And large to small, counting your smallest brush strokes, and with your largest brush stroke capturing the most essential hair clumps, starting with the largest hair clumps and then the smaller hair clumps as attachments. Wish I could have time to do this side. Sometimes I get sharpen tool and I just toss it on top of the tiniest little hairs. Wherever there's light, I just bring in a sharpen tool, because only the light, only areas under the light would really be sharp anyways. So it's a safe little way of managing detail without actually bringing in detail out here and out here where there's darkness, and there would be no shadow. There would be no, there would be no anything. There would be no saturation, edge work, fine detail visible, and contrast. Could you do my hair after? Should we cut off the hair where the neck stops when we do portraits? Just to get it to be a little bit more painterly and kind of away from the edge of the canvas, please. The hair color itself, like, let me see if I can do this. The hair color itself felt a little bit unrealistic, so I'm just pushing it over into this. Felt a little green. Even the skin tone felt a little green. But if she is Asian, then I would probably leave that skin tone where it is. It was perfect. I don't want it to look too northern or Caucasian. So this was a beautiful medium olive. But the hair was a little green before, so I would just fix that. It didn't feel brown. Okay. So thank you everyone for coming today. I'm going to miss you guys on my vacation. Again, I don't know if it's going to be 2 weeks or 1 week, but I will be back probably. If I do come back, we'll just get straight back into our lessons either on the 9th or the 16th. I might take an extra week just for rest, for my voice, for my health. I've been having a little bit of trouble. I tried to rest today because I really wanted to give you guys a nice long lesson, and I had 3 other sessions today to do with students, so I'm really spent, and I knew that if I had worked out, I wouldn't be able to complete today for you guys. So if you liked what you saw today, if you like my brushes, just go to my store and you'll find all my brushes and Portrait Studio there if you're interested in that. We're probably looking by the end of the month that we're going to be updating Portrait Studio, so right now it'll be the cheapest that it'll be. If you're interested in my brushes but can't afford them, all you have to do is just upload some really good class notes, and I will look through them. I usually give out 4 sets a month for free, or up to 6 sometimes. Thank you everyone for coming. Let's see what everyone's saying. How would you approach white hair, slightly translucent hair? You just make sure you don't get too dark. Make sure that you're working with more edge work than contrast. You're very welcome, Izam. Thank you. I'll think about you guys on my vacation. I'll be so sad. I'll be away from everyone. But I'm going to take some pictures of the Royal Ontario Museum for you guys. I'm going to take a picture of the aquarium, maybe some other places we're hitting in Toronto, Lakeshore, the Toronto skyline. I want to show you guys that. We're just going up north, that's all. No out of overseas. I can't travel right now because of my back, so sitting on a plane ride for 8 to 9 hours would not be good for my back, so that's why I'm not doing it. If you wanted to join, whoops, I closed that. If you wanted to join our community and you wanted to upload work for Critique Hour, you just got to go to my website, istebrak.com, and click on the Google Plus icon. Join, read the rules. Please don't upload single sketches. Even if they've been up and they got comments, I'm still going to delete them. I deleted 2 today, or 3. Please don't upload single sketches. When I say single sketches, I mean half of a nose or of just a nose. I consider that a sketch. If you're uploading, if you're studying noses, just upload 4 or 5 nose studies and you're set. But please don't upload single little tiny unfinished pieces. I don't want the wall to be flooded with this constant, oh my god, there's a mosquito. Stupid summertime. Fucking summertime. Shut up. Get out of here. Yes, I got him. Fuck. I'll see you guys 2 weeks from now or a week from now. Bye, everyone.